Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Wake Up Project Radio. Today we have a very, very, very special guest, as I promised in the last interview, Sheikh Imran Hosein. Today, joining me as co-host in this interview will be Brother Akanar. Sister Nimra has taken time off to devote herself to her studies, so maybe we can persuade her to come back in another future interview. But for right now, she seems to be focused on what she's focused on. So it'd be Brother Akanar. Thank you so much for joining me to help me co-host this show. This very, very important show, at least in my opinion. So I'd like to let's start off and just give a little bit of background on Sheikh Imran's accolades and his accomplishments. And this is by no means an exhaustive list. I mean, if I was going to exhaust the list, we'd be here for a whole hour. So just a little background. He was born in Trinidad in 1942. His parents had migrated there from India, and he graduated from the Alamiya Institute in Karachi, Pakistan. He's a leading international Islamic philosopher, scholar, and author, specializing in world politics, economy, modern socioeconomic political issues, and he's an expert on international affairs. And many of you who've maybe caught some of his talks on YouTube, you may catch a lot of his good talks. You would already know this. He's also the best-selling author of Jerusalem in the Quran. This book has been translated into multiple languages. He studied Islam, philosophy, and international relations at several universities, including the University of Karachi, University of the West Indies, Al-Azhar University in Cairo, the Graduate Institute of International Relations in Switzerland. He's also served as the Foreign Minister Officer in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Government of Trinidad and Tobago. In 1985, he left that government post to devote himself solely to Islamic scholarship. He lived in New York for 10 years, where, interestingly, he actually led the Jummah prayer and the sermons at the United Nations headquarters once every month for those full 10 years. I found that was very interesting. He's a leader in interfaith dialogue worldwide, as well as an Islamic lecturer. In fact, his very first book was Islam and Buddhism in the Modern World. He's also a former principal of the Alamiya Institute of Islamic Studies in Karachi, director of research of the World Muslim Congress in Karachi, director of the Islamic Institute for Education and Research in Miami, Florida, director of Dawah for Tanzim-e-Islami of North America. I told you I could go on and on forever about this. Not to mention inspiration clearly for the brothers Akanar, Noriega, Abdullah Hashim, as evidenced by their many clips of your speeches in all of their wonderful videos. So, I welcome you to the show, finally. So, how are you doing, Sheikh Imran? How are you doing?
Well, first of all, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah to you and to the listening audience from the sunshine of the Caribbean island of Trinidad. Yes, I'm fine, alhamdulillah. Hard at work at the beginning of my new book on Dajjal, the false Messiah. And he's already giving me a big headache.
As to be expected, of course. He doesn't like when we dig into his business, does he? So today we're going to talk about a subject which is very, very near and dear to my heart, and that is your Muslim Village project. That's going to be the basic essence of this entire show, because just from the beginning, all your knowledge. We could fill, I don't know how many hours, hundreds of hours in discussion. So we've decided to just pick this one issue and let's go over it as exhaustively as possible within 1 hour. So I was thinking one of your popular books, An Islamic View of Gog and Magog in Our Modern Time. If I'm understanding correctly, I think you're making the argument that we're living in that system right now, and it's just encroaching in our every aspect of our lives today. And you gave an example in one of your talks. You were talking about, I believe, if I've got the story memorized correctly, you were saying that when you were a little boy, if somebody would invite you to a house to eat, you would first discern how they earned their money to buy the food. Was it riba based or whatnot? And if it was not earned halal in a halal manner, you would not eat in the house. And I thought, my goodness, I mean, what strict standards, but appropriate standards, which, who holds to these sort of standards anymore? You know, it's like, to me, it seems that we are living in a day when it's nearly impossible not to compromise your Islamic faith living in this modern world. And so, you know, it seems like your Muslim village may be the actual solution to all this. What do you think about that? Do you see that as the solution? Is that why you came to this, or how did the whole thing come to be?
Well, you're very correct. You're very correct in your initial comment. Our Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam prophesied that the time would come when people will no longer care about the distinction between halal and haram. When I was a boy, I remember there was a money lender. Today the money lender has the more dignified name. It's called a bank. Mm-hmm. At that time, there was a money lender in Trinidad who was Muslim. And the head of our Muslim community, at that time we had men of integrity leading us. Today the worst member of a tribe becomes the head of the tribe, using his checkbook to advantage. And the head of our community spoke to that moneylender and informed him what he was doing was haram, and that Allah was waging war against those who were lending on interest. And that man would not heed the warning. Then the head of our community gave orders: no one is to eat in his home, and no one must accept any charity, any gift from him. And so if he had come to the masjid with a bag full of money, no one would have taken that money from him. Mm-hmm. Today, we have quite different world in which we now live. Today, we want to get money to build a masjid. And the administration, the management committee would say, brother, just write the check. We're not going to bother about where you got your money. You could be selling pork, you could be selling alcohol, you could be putting your money into a fixed deposit, you could be playing the stock market and earning your income through riba. We don't care about how you got your money. All we want you to do is to write the check. That's American Islam today. Mm-hmm.
I would agree. Yeah, sorry to interrupt.
Yes, there. I believe that my recent book on an Islamic view of Gog and Magog in the modern world has clearly established from the Quran and explained to us from the Quran the nature of the reality of the world in which we live today. Mm-hmm. It is the world in which power is controlled by Gog and Magog. And there are 4 ahadith in Sahih Bukhari, no less than 4. Mm-hmm. Which inform us about how this age is going to end. 999 out of every 1,000 will enter into the hellfire. The only one to enter into heaven, said the Prophet ﷺ, would be from you, pointing to his companions, namely a people who follow the religion of Ibrahim alayhi salam, the people who follow the guidance of the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. And the Muslim village is precisely for this purpose, that we might disengage, or we might withdraw from a world which is becoming increasingly godless, increasingly decadent, a world in which the believers are increasingly targeted with oppression. Withdraw, disengage, and try to find refuge in the remote countryside, where we may have a chance to try to recover a way of life which is based on the Quran, and try to recover the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. To those who say that they are already following the Sunnah and they are teaching us particularly those who travel from the United States to preach Islam to us, we ask them, can I take a look at your wallet, please? What's that in your wallet? It's paper. Is that paper really money?